mean, the Associated Press this week just published a sort of bracing overview of how this is becoming a nationwide phenomenon, from Arizona to Georgia to Michigan to New Hampshire. And, quote, the profusion of audits alarms election experts, who note that the Arizona audit has set a troubling new precedent of third-party partisan review of the ballots long after elections are over. One voting systems expert telling the AP, quote, this is bad enough to see it happen once, but seeing it elsewhere in the country is, quote, dangerous for democracy. A former Arizona official who used to oversee real post-election audits in Maricopa County tells the AP, quote, in a healthy democracy, you have an auditing process, you have legal resource. And when that period is over, all the candidates who have won take over and you move on. She added that the people calling for these audits clearly want only one result. Quote, they are not going to be satisfied. This is just going to play out in perpetuity. Right. If we're going to become a country now where if you don't like the election result, you and other people you know can just claim the right to get the ballots and get the voting machines and take them for yourself and do whatever you want to them, and then you say what happened in the election. That's how we're going to do this now? It's not just Arizona. State elections officials are doing their best in lots of places now to try to prevent a perpetual cycle of election audits by random outside groups who want the election to have turned out a different way. Michigan's top elections official has now sent letters to 2 Michigan counties that are trying to launch one of these third-party audits of the election results, warning those counties that these audits could be illegal. Michigan's Secretary of State telling the counties that they have no authority to order any such audit. The Secretary of State instructing election clerks in those counties that they must not give unaccredited outside parties access to real voting machines and real ballots. Meanwhile, that voting machine company, Dominion, has written to every county in Michigan that uses their machines, telling them if they do turn over these machines to unaccredited outside auditors to tamper with them, that will disqualify those machines from future use in any election, and the counties will be on the hook for the cost of new machines. Which, again, is exactly what happened already in that Pennsylvania county where Wake TSI did their Rudy Giuliani invited audit of the voting machines there. That county has to now pay for all new voting machines. It's also exactly what's happening in Arizona, where the Secretary of State has told Maricopa County they're going to have to buy all new machines for their next election. Thousands of voting machines have to be taken offline. They have to be decommissioned and replaced with new ones because the machines from 2020 are no longer secure. They have been tampered with by these unaccredited randos from these cyber ninjas who are going to tell us how it is that they've figured out that Trump won using the little cat-shaped thing or whatever. I mean, if these third-party audits and the messes they are leaving behind are now going to become a nationwide problem, and a problem that is just going to keep replicating itself over and over again in different places across the country. The thing that we are going to have to start talking about as a country is whether some sort of nationwide solution is required to stop this mess. I mean, believe me, in right-wing media, in Trump circles right now, right? These stupid, corrupting, fake audits of what happened in the 2020 election are the most important thing happening in the country, the most important thing happening in the world. The fact that there is a big weird one happening in Arizona, I think, has sunk in the normal media and for the rest of us. But if you look at the way they are talking about this stuff in Trump world, they really are going to do these everywhere, all over the country, everywhere pro-Trump Republicans can convince someone to get them access to real ballots from the election and real voting machines. They're just doing it all over, as if elections are theirs now. And ballots are theirs now. It's no longer a public government function. It's just for the Trump people to take over now on their own terms. And they'll tell us what happened. Individual officials like the Michigan Secretary of State, individual groups of even Republicans who object to what's going on, like in Arizona and Maricopa County, they've been trying to stop this stuff as it's been taking off, but it's not working. So far, the individual efforts by individual politicians, officials, and small groups of people to try to stop this in the places where this stuff is taking hold, those efforts to stop this thing are not working as this phenomenon starts to spread across the country. So here's the thing. If what they're doing with real ballots and real election machines, real voting machines, if this stuff is illegal, and it looks like it all is. I mean, there's a federal law that says random third parties can't have access to ballots and voting equipment right after an election. If it is all illegal everywhere, then who's going to stop it? And when? We reported last night on the swearing in of the brand new chief of the Civil Rights Division at the Justice Department, Kristen Clarke. Today was Kristen Clarke's first full day on the job, and we're waiting to see what the Civil Rights Division at DOJ may get down to work on now that it has a Senate-confirmed leader. But honestly, one of the areas where the Civil Rights Division theoretically could get involved, part of their remit within DOJ, is in election law. And one of the things they could get involved in at the federal level to try to set a sort of national expectation and national standard here, to draw some bright lines about what can't be done, is around these slapdash, privately run, bonkers, corrupting third-party audits of the last election. It was the acting head of the Civil Rights Division, the woman who was essentially holding that spot in an acting capacity till Kristen Clarke was sworn in last night, who, after all, did write a letter earlier this month to Arizona Senate Republicans telling them that the third-party audit they are running there may violate federal law because they've, among other things, handed over voting machines and millions of voters' real ballots to these completely unqualified, unaccredited private companies. Under federal law, those things are required to stay in the custody of election officials for a specific amount of time after an election is over. Arizona Republicans appear to have broken federal law by handing this stuff over to cyber ninjas and Wake TSI and the QCAT guy and all the rest of them. That was a letter from the acting head of the Civil Rights Division. That letter was a start. But since then, what's happening in Arizona has started to happen in lots of other places in the country now, too. And if what they did in Arizona and what they want to do in all these other states is illegal, then who's going to act on that and stop federal law from being violated in this way? Are we really going to leave this just up to state elections officials playing whack-a-mole to try to, stop the steal scam here and then stop the next one there and stop the next one there? It's not working. Is there a federal response that should happen here to address this issue nationwide, that sets standards, that creates clear rules and clarifies the existing clear rules around this stuff? Is there a federal response that could be mounted here to block these privately run, privately funded third-party audits from happening in the first place? If not, if there's no national response to it, I'm telling you, this thing is a runaway train. Watch this space.